I wanted to do a follow up to the Kavanaugh, It's Not What You Think. So, sort of a part two. I don't think I shared exactly what I'm thinking about what this really means. I shared that on a deeper level, this drama with Kavanaugh, this drama with Trump, the previous dramas with Obama and Bush and Clinton and going all the way back to Nixon or even sooner or earlier, the way Congress has a very low approval rating and the way that there's these various corruption scandals or just a poor opinion of Congress is meant to discredit all these institutions, the executive, the judicial, and the legislative bodies. What does that mean, though, to discredit? Well, I said the idea is that these institutions are discredited already. They don't really exist as people think, or the character of the people in these institutional bodies is very low. So what this discrediting is doing, or this exposure, is it's aligning the reality that these institutions are of a poor character to the perception in people's mindset called conventional wisdom. That was shared. So keep that part in mind. What I wanted to add to, though, was why? Why now? Why not 10 years ago? Why not 20 years ago? Why this notion to align the perspective of the majority of the public, or what is called conventional wisdom? Why now to start to realign that perception to see the executive, the judicial, and the legislative bodies as being of a poor character, to discredit them, to expose their poor reputations, their corruption, their ignorance, their stupidity, and their vanity? The contention is to actually go deeper and to add here, it's because these institutions are going to go through a profound change. And it's not what people are going to think when it happens. When it happens, people are going to think, oh, this is good. We're going to get these old 70, 80-year-old senators and congressmen out of office. We're going to replace them with some 35, 40, 45-year-old men and women who are going to do much better. Or we're not going to elect somebody like Trump again, or even Hillary. We're tired of this old guard mentality of people that are in their 60s and 70s or even close to their 80s. Or we're going to get rid of these old judges, these old justice administrators in the Supreme Court, and we need to start, or we need to change their mindset if we can't get them out of office or out of their position. And this paradigm shift, or this new dynamic, it's going to revolve around that, quote, new world order that up to this point is really the same old world order of the same aristocratic class with their front men and women that we know of as your city mayors, your head of your NGO organizations, your United Nations, the various prime ministers, the people in the House of Lords and all that, the congressmen, senators. What is that thing that is coming, the paradigm shift? Well, the idea would be that the focus is going to switch back to where humanity or society stemmed from, not from Africa, but what we're taught in history and even in archaeology, and even from a sociological point of view. What are we told? That humanity and society and the major cultures stemmed from Mesopotamia. So the shift is going to go back to Mesopotamia. There will be an Arabic, Hebraic type power system, even with a Persian influence. So think Iran, think Israel, and then think who are close to them. You have Syria, you have Egypt, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, that sort of thing. Those countries are going to be affected as this new system comes into play. And think 10 nations under one union, but a loose union, more of an Arabic nomadic union, where they'll have diplomatic ties, they'll shift borders, some countries will go. Think Syria becoming more like Assyria, Assyria, Assyria. Think of the Assyrian nation coming back into official recognition. Think Israel becoming 5, 6, 7 times larger than it is. Think of an Israeli border extending all the way up past Beirut, up into Syria. Think it extending further to the northeast, hundreds of miles. So that would mean Jordan will be affected. So think of Jordan in the next 4, 5, 6 years going through a major change and losing its status as a nation as we know it, its borders shifting. Then these new congressmen and senators, or this new perception and opinion of the executive, the judicial, and the legislative bodies, that a new alignment then would say, oh, we need to align these institutional bodies, these governmental bodies. They need to be more closely aligned to this new power system coming back out of Mesopotamia, or what's known as the Middle East, or what we can call Southwest Asia, or that navel or center of the world. Unless these old guard are going to change their perceptions when it's time to be in alignment and in a generally submissive state to this new power system coming out of the Middle East, then of course they would have to go, and new congressmen and senators and a new president would need to come into office that would have the mindset to be more in alignment, or, as I said, even from a more submissive point of view. And yes, sorry, but the United States, Canada, South America being on the fringe of the world, thousands of miles away from this navel of the earth, this center of the earth coming out of the Levant there, right there by Egypt. As that gains in prominence, then anyone closer to that and with more direct routes to that area, they will grow in prominence, and those who are further away, like a Canada, like a United States, even like the far fringes of Asia, will see some of their prominence decline. Northwestern Europe, so Britain and France, will also see themselves decline a little bit, not a lot, because the world will be prosperous. But think of the old silk trading routes from India and Indonesia and China that then went through Uzbekistan and Afghanistan and Pakistan, coming down into and by the Black Sea and down into the Mediterranean and the Eastern Med. Think those old silk trading routes being revitalized. And already China is trying to revitalize the old silk route, and they're struggling, and they're even trying to rebuild the routes out of Eastern Africa to come up and reestablish those trading routes across the Indian Ocean or up through the Red Sea and onto the Arabian Peninsula. And then one of the largest ports is trying to be expanded and established there in Greece to then act as a major logistical hub from India and China and Eastern Asia, to then come into that port there in Greece to act as a way to distribute goods out into Northwestern Europe, or to bring goods in from Northwestern Europe to then transport it down into Africa and then east. But who's in the center? That Middle Eastern Union, that Mesopotamian power shift is right there in the middle to enjoy the fruits of all that global trade. So keep this in mind, please, and let that percolate. And this is an opinion that I have, or these are some thoughts about the deeper deeper meaning behind what's going on with all these various scandals and discrediting of people in powerful positions within the executive, judicial, and legislative bodies. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good day.